Do you know what the stative verbs are? Can you tell me what's the difference between stative and action verbs? Why is it important to understand the difference between them? Can you classify these verbs into two groups, action verbs and stative verbs? Which of these verbs are stative and which are action? Run, need, want, bend, catch, hate, carry, promise, think, exercise. Do you know which of these sentences is a correct one? I'm not knowing the answer, or I don't know the answer. Which one would be correct? I'm having an old car, or I'm having a quick break. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to answer these questions easily. Verbs are words that are used to show physical action. For example, she runs every day, or she is running now. As you can see, we use the verb run in present simple, runs, and in present continuous, is running. Also, the verbs can be used to show a process. For example, it boils water, like this kettle boils water. Or the water is boiling now. As you can see, we use the verb to boil in simple tense, specifically in present simple, boils, and in present continuous, boiling is boiling. And also, verbs are used to describe a state of being. For example, she is happy. She is happy. We use the verb to be in present simple. She is happy. She believes in Santa. She believes in Santa. We use the verb to believe in present simple. Let's take a look at these verbs more attentively. I have noticed that some of the verbs were used in simple and continuous tenses, while others were used only in simple tenses. Interesting. Why is it like this? As you can see, the verb to run is used in present simple and present continuous. The verb to boil is used in simple and continuous tenses, while the verb to be is used in simple, only in present simple, and the verb believe is used only in present simple. To understand this better, we need to know that the verbs are classified into two groups. These are action verbs and stative verbs. Please repeat after me. Action verbs, stative verbs. Some of the verbs could be even both, action and stative. What are action verbs? An action verb is a word that shows physical action and a process. An action verb tells what the subject of the sentence does. Let's take a look at this example. A woman talks to her friend every day. The subject in this sentence is a woman. What does this woman do? Yes, she talks. Talks is an action verb because it shows what this woman does, what the subject of the sentence does. This is an action verb, to talk. You can see, if you look at this picture, you can see that the woman talks to her friend. You can observe her talking to her friend every day. A woman talks to her friend every day. You can see that, right? If you would like to learn about action verbs more, I recommend you watching my grammar lesson, Action, Helping, and Linking Verbs. If you wish to improve your vocabulary and learn new action verbs easily, you could watch my lessons, 25 action verbs and Verbs Acted Out, 20 action verbs. It is very important to understand that you can actually observe the action verbs. You can see the woman talking, or you can see somebody eating. To eat, you can see somebody eating. Or to run, you can see somebody running. However, stative verbs are different. A stative verb is a verb used to describe a state of being or situation. A stative verb tells what the subject of the sentence is, feels, or appears. Again, let's take a look at this example. A woman feels blessed to have such a wonderful friend. A woman is a subject in this sentence, and feels is a stative verb because it describes what this woman feels, what the subject of the sentence feels. A woman feels blessed. If you look at this picture, can you see what this woman feels? No, right? That's why it's a stative verb. A stative verb describes a state of being. You cannot see it with your eyes, right? Let's compare stative and action verbs and answer the question, why is it important to know the difference between them? Okay, we know that we have two types of verbs, stative verbs and action verbs. Also, we know that they are different. So let's learn what's the difference. And let's take a look at these examples. A woman talks to her friend every day. What do you think? Is it a correct sentence? Is the structure in this sentence correct? Yes, we use present simple to show that the woman does this action every day. And you can actually see a woman talking. A woman talks to her friend every day. And it's a correct sentence. And what verb did we use in here? Is it an action or a stative verb? Talks. Can you see her talking? Yes, you're right. It's an action verb. How about this sentence? A woman is talking to her friend now. Okay, so we used in here present continuous to show that an action is happening now, at the moment of speaking. A woman is talking to her friend now. What do you think? Is it a correct structure? Yes, you can see her talking. And what type of verb did we use in here? Yes, you're right. It's an action verb. We used the action verb to talk in present continuous. By the way, if you would like to learn more about present continuous, I have a lesson for you. You can follow the link above. The other example. A woman feels blessed to have such a wonderful friend. What do you think? Is it a correct sentence? Is the structure correct? We used here present simple to show what this woman feels, right? And it's a correct structure. To feel. What type of verb is it? Is it a stative verb or an action verb? Yes, you're right. It's a stative verb because it shows what this woman feels. Okay, let's take a look at the other sentence. A woman is feeling blessed to have such a wonderful friend. And this sentence is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because we cannot use the stative verb in present continuous. There are some situations that we still use stative verbs in present continuous, but it's only when stative verbs become action verbs. And we are going to talk about it a little bit later. But now I want you to understand that you cannot use stative verbs in present continuous. Let's talk about the usage of stative and action verbs a little bit more. Action verbs can be used in all 12 English tenses. In present simple, for example, I jump. Past simple, I jumped. Future simple, I will jump. In continuous tenses, present continuous, I'm jumping. Past continuous, I was jumping. Future continuous, I will be jumping. In perfect tenses, present perfect, I have jumped. Past perfect, I had jumped. Future perfect, I will have jumped. And in perfect continuous tenses. Present perfect continuous, I have been jumping. Past perfect continuous, I had been jumping. And future perfect continuous, I will have been jumping. So it's pretty easy with action verbs because you know that action verbs can be used in simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous tenses in all English tenses. But there is a different story with stative verbs. Stative verbs can be used in all simple tenses. In present simple, I know. Past simple, I knew. Future simple, I will know. But they cannot be used in any of the continuous tenses. It would be wrong to say I'm knowing, I was knowing, I will be knowing. We cannot use stative verbs in continuous tenses. Stative verbs can also be used in perfect tenses. Present perfect, I have known. Past perfect, I had known. Future perfect, I will have known. And we cannot use stative verbs in perfect continuous tenses. It would be wrong to say, I have been knowing, I had been knowing, I will have been knowing. We cannot use these verbs in perfect continuous tenses. Please remember this. Now we know that stative verbs cannot be used in continuous or perfect continuous tenses. That's why we should be able to identify them, to distinguish them from action verbs and to avoid making mistakes. It is easier to learn and to understand if a verb is a stative verb or an action verb by dividing them into the categories. The first category is called senses and perception. For example, there could be such verbs as be, feel, look, hear, see. This table does not show you all of the stative verbs. There are so many of them, but these are just some of the examples that can help you to identify which verb is a stative one and which one is an action one. The next category is feelings and emotions, like, love, wish, hate, want. The next category is the verbs of thoughts and opinions. Guess, think, know, remember, understand. The other category is the category of possession. Have, belong, own, include, want, and so on. The next category are the verbs of measurement. For example, measure, weigh, contain, cost, consist. Kids love ice cream. What verb did we use in here? Love. Yes, of course, it's a stative verb. Which tense did we use in here? You're right, it's present simple. So kids love ice cream. We use the stative verb in present simple. How about this example? That coffee smells good. That coffee smells good. What is the stative verb in this sentence? Yes, you're right. This verb is to smell. Smell. That coffee smells good. The verb love that we used in the first sentence belongs to stative verbs because it belongs to the category of feelings and emotions. And the verb smell belongs to the senses and perception category. Some stative verbs can become action verbs, depending on the context and meaning. These verbs are usually the most challenging because there is no one rule that you could use. You have to think about each situation separately. For example, I think that coffee is great. And I'm thinking about my next trip. As you can see in these two examples, in the first case, the verb think is a stative verb. And in the second sentence, it is an action verb. So the verb think transitioned from stative to action verbs. So how did it happen? Let's take a look at the first example. I think that coffee is great. In this sentence, the verb to think shows your opinion about the coffee. I'm thinking about my next trip. The verb to think shows the process. You're actually sitting and thinking about your next trip. You are in the process of thinking. You are thinking about it. Since the verb to think shows the process in this situation, it's going to be an action verb. I have a car. It's a stative verb, right? What does it show? Yes, it shows a possession. It shows that you own a car. You have a car. I have a car, right? It belongs to me. It shows the possession. That's why it's a stative verb. How about the second example? I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time. When I say that, I see myself walking at the beach or being with my friends, right? And doing something, enjoying. It means I'm in the process of having a good time. In this situation, the verb to have shows an activity. I mean that I'm doing something. I'm having a good time. That's why it's going to be an action verb. I hope it's not that confusing, right? Okay, let's see the third example, the verb to taste. This burger tastes great. So you eat the burger and you say, this burger tastes great. So you just described your sense, right? Sense. That's why it's a stative verb. How about in this sentence? My mom is tasting her soup. When I say that, I can see my mom in the process of tasting her soup. She's cooking it and tasting it. And she says, oh, I feel like I need to add more salt to it, right? She's in the process of tasting. When we see the action of tasting, it's going to be an action verb. Remember when I said that you should be able to answer some of the questions at the beginning of the lesson? Now it's time for you to answer them. So let's do this test. In here, I would like you to divide the verbs into two categories: action verbs and stative verbs. You have the verbs run, need, want, bend, catch, hate, carry, promise, think, and exercise. Please pause this video, think for a while, and divide these verbs into two categories. And only after that, check your answers. Please promise that you are going to pause this video now. So the action verbs are run, bend, catch, carry, exercise. And the stative verbs are need, want, hate, promise, think. The next question was to identify which sentence is wrong. Let's see. I'm not knowing the answer and I don't know the answer. Which sentence is wrong? And Harry liked to have a nap after lunch. Or Harry was liking to have a nap after lunch. Please pause this video and think which sentence is wrong and which one is correct. I'm not knowing the answer is the wrong one because to know is a stative verb and we can use it only in simple tenses or perfect tenses. So in our case, I don't know the answer is a correct one. Harry liked to have a nap after lunch and Harry was liking to have a nap after lunch. The one where you use the verb to like in continuous, in our case in past continuous, is wrong because it's a stative verb and we can use it in simple tense, right? In past simple, Harry liked to have a nap after lunch. And the last question, which sentence is correct? Let's see. The first one, I'm having an old car. And the second one, I'm having a quick break. I'm seeing him tomorrow, and I'm seeing what you mean. Which one would be correct? Okay, let's check our answers. I'm having an old car. It is wrong to say that. It would be right to say, I have an old car, because the verb to have in this sentence shows a possession. But you can say, I'm having a quick break, because it shows an action. You are in the process of having a quick break. And the second one, I'm seeing him tomorrow, is the correct one because you show a planned action. And the second one is wrong, I'm seeing what you mean, because in this situation we should say, I see what you mean. I see means I understand. It's a stative verb. It did not transition. In this case, I see what you mean. Good job! Please write down your answers from the test in the comments below, and I'll be happy to read that and to give you some advice if you have any questions. Thank you for learning English with me. Please write your feedback or anything you would like to say or ask in the comments below. And I'll see you in my next videos. See you soon. Take care.